Welcome back to I've Got Something to Tell You, bonus episode 7, short story edition, where we tell stories from Reddit and the tops of our noggin. Did I say it right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, there's no right way to say it.
I liked the way you originally said it.
It's whatever comes off the top of your noggin.
Yeah. I should say off the top of Colleen's noggin, because nothing ever comes off the top of mine. But anyway, so the stories that I picked out from Reddit today were inspired from our last bonus episode, which Colleen talked about fairy traps. And I was just like, ooh, I want to look into that because it just seems interesting.
Yeah.
I had to sift through a lot of stories. Some of them I don't know about, but the ones that I picked out, I feel like they're legit. Like they're coming from a
reputable source.
Yes. Okay. Should I just get right into my story?
Let's get right into it.
Okay. So for anyone wondering, this is the faerie subreddit. And faerie spelled like F-A-E-R-I-E-S. I see some people spell it differently. Okay. So she says, okay, just want to share this story. It's not mine, but it happened to my sister and my nephew, so I know it's true as they both shared the same story. And they don't have to lie to me about anything. I am from Puerto Rico. We have a lot of rivers all over the island, and sometimes we go and take the family and enjoy the day of swimming and just having fun at that location. This particular day, she went with her partner at the time and my nephews. They're having a good time, and my sister needed something that was in their vehicle, that was parked on the main road. So her oldest son went with her, and he got ahead of her and got into the vehicle to get what she wanted. She keeps walking towards him, and all of a sudden she felt weird, and she froze. She doesn't know if she was being forced to be still or if she stopped on her free will, but she was just, like, frozen. Like, she just felt like she couldn't move her body, almost kind of sounding like paralysis, but, like, when you're awake, kind of. She said that there was a weird smell, and I asked her if it was a bad or repulsive smell. She said it wasn't, that it was more like a sweet smell, different but not bad. She also told me that she was looking and trying to make sense of what was going on in her surroundings, and she was still on the same road, but it felt different somehow. And she kept hearing these buzzing sounds and seeing these flashes or shadows moving really fast around her. And then something stopped in front of her. And the thing that stopped in front of her, she saw it, and she described it as a fairy, Walt Disney-like, but not as beautiful.
Oh.
She said it wasn't, like, heinous or ugly, but it wasn't, like, pretty to look at either. But she said it was small. The thing that stood there in front of her for a few seconds, and then went back to whatever it was doing. She looked at her son, and he was still far away from her, and he screamed, "Mom, are you seeing what I'm seeing?" She told him yes, and they realized they were gone, and they went back to the river and resumed their days as if nothing had happened. They talked about it days later, she told me, but for some reason they didn't really discuss it into detail. What really got my attention is that she sent a screenshot of something she saw on Facebook that resembled what she saw. I was just wondering if anyone... Oh, yeah. So they're talking to the Reddit. They want to know if anyone else had that experience. So I've actually seen a lot of stories where they say that they aren't, like... It's not like Tinkerbell, like, floating around. Like, it does look like a creature. Like, they compare it to, like, a dragonfly almost looking, like, really tiny. And you have to be, like... But it has, like, a human face. Mm-hmm. So, it's scary.
Yeah.
Except in this case, I don't think they did anything, but, like, I don't know why she froze.
Yeah. I don't fuck with fairies. Like, in, like, the most respectful way possible. Like, yeah. I know, like, I don't know if they're, like, real or not, but I've seen the TikToks, and they freak me out, like, all the fairy trap things and stuff, and, like... I'm telling you, when I told Kyle not to step on that freaking root and that acorn came down, like, aggressive, I was like, see? Proof.
Yeah.
Or you're just pissing nature off. Whichever one, it's not good.
I know. I was like, the other story I don't know if it's the same one, but there was a story I read and it reminded me of you because it said like they were throwing acorns.
Yeah.
And they couldn't see where they were coming from. And then I don't remember what else happened, but I just remember the acorns. And I mean, it wasn't a person. Like they looked around, obviously. Yeah. But so that was my first story.
All right. Well, I have one, and it's not really true crime, and I don't really know how you would categorize it, so maybe you can categorize it for me after I'm done. Mm-hmm. But okay, so...
We don't need categories.
Well, I'm just saying.
We just go off the rails on these bonus episodes.
There are no rules in the episodes. So the story starts with this guy, and he remembers waking up, and it's like 2:30 a.m., and he doesn't really struggle with sleep paralysis, but he remembers like not really like feeling like he was fully awake, but also like awake enough to be like aware, but wasn't really like moving. Mm-hmm. But he looks at his clock and it's like 2:30, and then he sees on his wall just like this like sliver of light start appearing on his wall, and then he realizes it's his door that's opening. So like it's like the light from the hallway, and then he sees it like get bigger, but he hears the handle like jiggling like as if like they were kind of like pulling it while they're opening the door. Ooh. And so he sees this light. He doesn't see any like shadow, but then he feels this like weight at the bottom of it, at the end of his bed, and
like someone's sitting or on him,
like someone's sitting at the end of the bed, like if like your dog had jumped up on the bed or something like that. But he's still only like half awake, and then he's like, I kind of like mustered up the like strength to turn my body, and my body hit something that was there, like something, and he's like, I didn't see what it was because he was still kind of like in that in
sleep
between
paralysis.
Yeah, but he was able to move, so I don't know if it's sleep paralysis, because can you move?
You can pull yourself out of it if you're like kind of in between.
Well, he was able to turn his body, and he feels his feet like nudge something, so something's clearly there. Yeah. And then he's like, and then I don't remember what happened after that. And the next time I looked at the clock, it was 2 hours later. And he's like, and I moved my feet again, and that same, like, thing was there. And then he sees, like, the light of the day is kind of, like, coming through. And then he starts seeing that light again on the wall to show that the door is like now closing. Oh, what? And so he feels the thing like stand up from the end of his bed, and then he's like, it felt like it was leaving, but he could see the door closing, and he's like, and I just sat there for a little bit, and then finally got the courage to like stand up and go and see, like, you know, the light. It's now light outside, and now he's getting the courage to like get up, and he's kind of like now waking up where he's not feeling like that in between, like I'm not able to move or whatever kind of thing. Because like, I don't know, I feel like I've done that a lot too, where it's like it's not sleep paralysis, but like I'm just so tired, but like I can tell I'm awake, you know? Yeah. And so the other thing is he does have a dog, and the dog hadn't made like any noise all night. So like clearly somebody hadn't been in the backyard or coming through the doors, because the dog would have made noise. And the dog is in the backyard. And so all of his doors and windows all lock from the inside. He explains that he has like old school like metal door things that you have to like flip it up kind of to like unlock your window. So all of those are down. Nothing looks disturbed. Like he has his lock, like the chain lock on his door. That's not like messed with. He goes to let his dog in, and his dog, like, because he's like, well, maybe, you know, if somebody's in here, the dog will sniff him out. The dog's unbothered. And the guy's just like, I don't know what this was. He's like, honestly, all I hope is that it was somebody that broke into my house, was looking for something, decided to watch me sleep, and just left. Like,
I feel like it was like something paranormal, probably. that's where my mind goes, especially if like the house was undisturbed, like there's no forced entry, the dog didn't bark, and it sounded like it didn't bother him.
Yeah,
So maybe it was someone watching over him.
Maybe it was a positive thing.
Yeah, it could have been.
Hopefully, we're gonna say it was.
Yeah, that's kind of like, I didn't get a bad vibe from it.
Yeah,
Definitely creepy if you're that person. But
yeah, for sure.
That reminded me, though, I forgot to tell you, there's been a couple of nights now within the last couple of weeks that I wake up and I'm about to go into sleep paralysis, and I could feel, it's such a weird feeling though, because it was like, it feels like a weighted blanket, like the way I've been feeling it, because I can feel like how tired I feel, but I like don't want to let myself fall asleep because I know I'm gonna like fully be in sleep paralysis. But it's such a weird feeling pulling yourself out of it, because I'm like, nope, I'm not doing it. But it's happened twice, and I haven't had sleep paralysis in a long time.
I wonder if it's maybe something, and this is literally me just, I don't know anything, so I don't know. This is like a ignorant thing to say, but do you think it's because we've been talking about it so often? I think so.
Yeah. No, I think that's 100%, because I feel like other times I've talked about it or just like read stories on it, it's happened.
Yeah.
And Tara, my sister, has said the same thing.
Yeah. It's like a subconscious thing. It's like if you think about it a lot, it's going to happen.
It's like, oh, you want this to happen? Okay, I got you. I'll do
Your
it
brain's
tonight.
like, I got you.
I'm like, please don't.
Yeah.
I don't like it. Well, that was a cool story.
Yeah.
My next story is another fairy story.
I love it.
Okay.
It's fairy tales today.
It is fairy tales. Fairy tales with a splash of sleep paralysis.
Yeah. With a splash of who knows what.
Yeah. This one's super short, but here we go. Okay. Another story from the fairies subreddit. He says, okay, so I'm assuming that it was a fairy, although I'm assuming that if fairies exist. There's many unknown beings that also exist that could be misidentified as fairies. True. But one day my husband and I brought our daughter down to a very small creek to spend the night. My daughter fell asleep in her hammock pretty fast. She was probably 11 at the time. She's 15 now. But my husband and I stayed awake all night because at one point at night they had to deal with some aggressive raccoons. She says for about an hour and a half.
Oh my gosh.
So then morning came, probably 7 a.m., and I looked down and there was what looked like a fairy that was kind of down near the ground close to where my daughter was sleeping. I'm assuming it was there because of her. It seemed curious of her. Its body was very human-like, but green, with dragonfly-like wings. It was only a couple inches tall, but I saw it very well. It saw that I saw and kind of gave a gasp faced and flew away. I'll never forget that day.
Oh my god.
I feel like I could picture that in my head. It was like, they saw me. But yeah, so I thought it was like a cute short story.
I like that.
Yeah. And I feel like, yeah, people describe them very similarly.
Mm-hmm.
Like a dragonfly.
Yeah, with a human face.
Yes.
Yeah.
Some say like glowing green and some say glowing blue. Which I'm like,
I wonder if
pretty.
they're different types.
I know, I wonder too. Good and bad.
Friend or foe?
True.
All right, well, I got one more story for you.
Okay.
So this one is told by a girl, and she lives in a big family. She describes herself as she's one of 10, and she's on like she's either the youngest or one of the youngest.
Mm-hmm.
And so she and her sisters they start living with their parents, or they're living with their parents, and all the rest of the kids have moved because they're all like going to college or they live in like other states or whatever. Mm-hmm. But specifically her brother and her sister all are like the younger ones, and her brother ends up going to an out-of-state college. Mm-hmm. And her sister and her are living at home going to a local college. So they're living with their parents. Mm-hmm. And they start noticing, or they start getting phone calls, but it only happens, she says, it only happens when I'm home alone. And she gets the phone call and she like all she can hear is somebody breathing on the other line and some like
Ew.
and she starts getting like more aggressive with the person like what the heck do you want? Like stop calling here. Like leave us alone. But it's only happening when she's home alone. And so then she brings it up to her sister and her sister's like that's been happening to me too. Mm-hmm. And the calls start happening more frequently, but again, it's only when one of the sisters are home alone and they can just like hear like on the other side. And so it starts kind of like cooling off at some point. Like they bring it up to their parents and then at one point the calls kind of like start going away. So then they don't really think anything of it. And she keeps saying like we just kind of just started going back to like normalcy, like, you know, and so then one day she's getting up to go to class and she walks out and she sees glass on the driveway. She walks around to the side of her car and the window in her car has been like busted in. Oh. And she goes, my wallet was in the car, but she's like, I only had a little bit of cash in there and nothing was taken out of my wallet, but it was weird because my driver's license was just sitting on my seat, like next to the wallet, as if somebody had like taken it out, looked at it, and then like just set it back down. Mm-hmm. And she thought that was really strange. And so then she brings it up to her parents and she's like, hey, like, I just think like we need to maybe have a little, like, can we get a little bit more security? Yeah. And so her dad installs like a security system, like one of the ones where you like enter the code. This is also in like the late 90s, so like there's no like Ring cameras or anything yet. And then he installs security lights so that like if somebody were to walk up on the driveway, the lights would go on. Okay. Kind of thing. Yeah. And he's like, this, like, hopefully this is enough. You know, now we feel secure in the home, and then there's going to be like a warning outside the home. Mm-hmm. And so she's like, great. And so then one night she's sleeping, and she keeps describing it as like waking up and being like, why am I awake? Like, I don't want to be awake. Like, I'm tired. I want to go to sleep. And so then she's like, it happens like twice. And then the third time I finally sit up and I'm like, fine, I'm awake. Like, and so she turns the light on in her bedroom and walks down to go use the bathroom, grabs a drink of water, and then comes back into her room and turns the light off. And she goes, as soon as I turn the light off, I hear this like thud outside my window. Oh. And then she sees the security light go on, and she sees and hears this guy running that had like clearly been outside of her window. And she's like, so he was waiting when I turned my lights on. He thought I could see him, waited till I turned my lights off, and then ran. But
that's
the security,
so creepy.
Mm-hmm. And
I hate that.
So she tells her parents, and they end up filing something. But like the police are like, we don't really know. Like, we're not going to be, not that they're like not trying, but like, you know, filing something, you know, trying to at least do something to make the girl
like they
feel
don't
better.
know who.
Yeah, she didn't see the guy. All she saw was somebody run. Yeah. And so then one night she's getting home from going out with some friends, and she drives up into the driveway, but the lights don't go on, and they should have gone on. And she gets out of her car and she's like, I just felt like somebody was there with me. And so she's like going up, like waving at the lights, trying to get them to turn on, to like freak out whoever's behind her. And they won't turn on. And so she runs inside and she tells like her dad, and like wakes him up and is like, the lights won't turn on. I think somebody's in the driveway. The dad goes to check it out. He doesn't see anybody out there, but when he looks up at the lights, all of the light bulbs have been removed. Ew. And all of the sensors had been turned to face completely upward, so like that they wouldn't sense
that
anybody.
Gave me goosebumps.
Yeah.
I don't like that.
And so then in the morning, they like go and check all of the lights like around the house, and because they have them in the backyard too. So they go and they check same thing in the backyard, and they even find like a broom that's normally in like one of their sheds, like out in the backyard, that had been like used to move the sensors. And so they're like, what the heck is going on? They file another report, and I feel like I'm sensitive to saying they file a report because of the time where the people were like, why did they call the police? I don't know. I'm just telling you.
I wasn't there.
Yeah. It's not me. I didn't make these decisions. And so it becomes winter time and everything calms down. Nobody's messing with the lights. She doesn't, they don't see, footsteps in the snow around their house. It kind of seems like everything is quieted down. Mm-hmm. As soon as, the winter snow melts and goes away, shit starts happening again. And they start getting phone calls. And then one day they go out, and she said that this was, kind of a breaking point for her because remember how they removed the lights?
Yeah.
This time they smashed them.
Oh my God, aggressive.
Yeah, so she was like, this felt aggressive and violent and, it was just...
Scary.
Yeah. And so one night she's in the house and she says that her sister is going outside to take the garbage out. And then... she's sitting there and all of a sudden she just hears screaming, blood-curdling screaming. And so she runs out and she's calling to her sister, and then she hears her sister say, "Don't move." And then she's running back to the house and the sister yells to the girl and she's like, "Call 911." She gets in the house, they close the door, the girl goes and calls 911, and the sister said that there was a man standing in the driveway. And when they, made eye contact, he just stood there and, stared at her.
Ew,
and so they call the police. The police show up, and she describes the guy. And the police are like, actually, we've gotten, several reports of this same guy,
really?
From around the neighborhood. Yeah. There's one where this woman... she lives alone, and she got home one day, and, somebody had been cooking in her kitchen. And the back door was open, and when she looked outside, the guy had been, hanging out in her house. And when she looked outside, it was the guy that the sister, described. So this dude is just, a super creep. And then, so, all of these things are happening. The guy is clearly stalking them.
Yeah.
And then it gets back to summertime, and the brother, that is away at college comes home, and he ends up coming home, and one of their other cousins or something comes home with them, and they're gonna live at the house for the summer, and everything stops. After that, no more creepy stuff happens, nothing. Weird. And when they talked to the police about it, they were like, when these type of stalking situations happen, they know your routines, they know when your family's gonna be home, and sometimes I think it's the brother coming home and throwing off the natural routine, or them changing their routine from going to school to being on summer break or something.
He's probably too many people in the house now.
Yeah, and then it was long enough for him to have his he had to go find somebody else to stalk, so he left them alone. This is again just my theory because they were never bothered again by this guy.
It sounds like he's just messing with people, but ew, that is so creepy.
Yeah. But to just be standing in somebody's driveway, and when they come out, just stand there and stare at them. And
it will also be cooking in
somebody's house.
I know. Probably seriously mentally unstable.
Yeah.
Ew.
Yeah. Well, that was kind of a longer one. Sorry.
That was a good one though. But that wraps up our bonus episode 7. So if you guys enjoyed it, go rate it. And if you want to send in any stories for us to read in our next bonus episode, you can email us at
IGSTTYstories@gmail.com.
Yes. Okay, thanks for listening.
Later.